Where's your scientific paper on this Jesus blood?
It's on Google. It's literally a whole documentary on it.
Do you have his poop too? Do you have Jesus feces?
We don't need his poop. We have his blood.
The universe had a beginning, which is where we get the Big Bang Theory from.
No, the Big Bang is not the beginning. The Big Bang is the end of our observations of the universe that we can observe. It's
But
not the beginning.
All right. So is the universe expanding? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. So if it's expanding, that means that if we were to reverse it, it would be contracting. Yes or no?
Yeah, but that contraction does not necessitate a beginning. It could be that the universe
All right.
contracts.
It could be a
Hold
cycle too.
on.
It could be a
Hold on.
cycle too. Yeah.
It could be a cycle, yes.
Yeah.
So go ahead and give the evidence that God must exist.
All right. So, all right. So if we have a universe, right, that is constantly expanding, contracting, right, we also have it built on constants, right? Math isn't just a random idea, it's an infinite language, right? Space and time and everything in our universe is bound by math. Nature follows the math, math never follows the nature, right?
No, that's incorrect. Math is descriptive of nature.
Yeah.
It's not prescriptive necessarily.
Yeah, that's what all right.
Math is a language that our brains produce, just like logic. So
it's an infinite language, right?
what do you mean by infinite language?
Math is infinite. Like for example, like Fibonacci sequence, right? You can go like pull up one of them little simulators.
Conceptualize of infinite number sequences, sure, but I'm asking you to demonstrate that the universe requires a God, right? Even if I were to subscribe to this mathematical realism, it doesn't mean that God necessarily exists.
Could you explain? Say that again.
Even if I were to agree that math is intrinsic to nature, it doesn't mean God exists, right?
Well, I would say because math is unchanging, 1 + 1 will always equal 2.
No, so when we make mathematical statements like 1 + 1 is 2, that's merely an analytical statement, meaning it's only true because we define it to be true, right? It's just definitionally true. Like 1 is a mere concept that we can prescribe concepts to, a symbol, right? Symbol 1, symbol 2. But if I simply define 1 to be something different or a different concept, well, then 1 + 1 could be 3, 1 + 1 could be 4, depending on how you define it. So that's why mathematics is a subjective thing.
Yeah. So you're saying you could give a different definition to 1. 1 could be 2, or 2 could be 1.
Right.
But 1, the idea of 1 is 1. 1 is 1. Like if you, all right, let's say 2 was 1 and we called it 2. 2 would still be 1. 1 is 1. 1 + 1 is still 2. There are certain laws that don't change in our universe.
No, that has nothing to do with the universe. Now we can just appeal to mathematical anti-realism and just say, well, the brain is producing a certain sequence. That's why there's certain concepts. It doesn't mean that math is tethered to the universe, right? You're confusing these two things. You're saying that math is real, and it could easily be not real too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So our universe exists in the state of entropy, right? Where it's always decaying, right? It's going in a state of regression, but it's governed by a set of rules, language, whatever you want to call it, that is infinite and precise.
No, it's not. What do you mean by precise, right? What's a non-precise universe look like?
Like our universe is finely tuned. There are certain things in our universe that are irreducibly complex. I don't know, bro. If you watch some like Neil deGrasse Tyson videos, you'll probably be able to see.
But fine-tuned for what, right? Like fine-tuned for what? For life?
No, just like fine-tuned in general. Just the fact that shit doesn't just blow up. You know what I'm saying? The fact that atoms stick together. The fact that there's nuclear force.
So yeah, I agree that the universe seems to operate in certain ways, And yes, if we altered the laws of nature, we would render it a different universe. I agree there.
Mhm.
But the problem is that we can have natural explanations as to why this is the case. There could be a multiverse where there's multiple universes, each with their own laws of nature, right? There could be a natural mechanism that spits out universes, and there's multiple Big Bangs, and we're just one universe out of a multiple others.
Wait, so do you believe in Big Bang, or do you just believe that the universe is going in an ongoing cycle?
I don't know. All we know is that the Big Bang happened. We don't know what was before that, but it's possible that there was something before, like a multiverse.
All right, so just a question to you then. If we were to assume that the universe was finite, let's say someone believed in the Big Bang theory, right? If the universe was finite, would you believe in a God if the universe was finite?
No, whether or not the universe is finite or infinite, it has no bearing on whether or not a God exists. The universe could be infinite and there be no God. The universe can be finite and there be no God. It doesn't matter if the universe began or not. You don't need God for that.
Well,
Right? It's
I
like
would
saying,
I would say
"But
a
I tied my
creation.
shoes this morning." That
Well,
means God exists because because something tied my shoe together.
well,
No,
that's not
there could be
the
no
argument.
explanation.
The argument is that if something is created, it can't create itself. Like
Okay, nobody said it did. Nobody
wherever
said the
there is.
universe created itself. What we're saying is that it could have always existed, or if it had a cause, be naturally caused.
But I mean, we know time is linear. We know that it's fine. All right, so maybe like you could say there's a multiverse. We're if we assume, which would be the only other like real option other than the universe is finite, time is finite, like how we observe, is that it's going in a never-ending cycle, right? If we go in a never-ending loop
Sir,
where
can you
everything
get
is
to God now? Can you just show us evidence to God before I kick you?
all right, so if we have perfection, if we have order, order cannot be produced from something that is naturally chaotic and decaying
Sure
in
it
nature.
can. Sure it can. Ever heard of a nebula cloud or a planetary disk?
Not to the point of our reality where atoms are structured the way they are, where cells are entire
Sir,
planets.
you said that order cannot come from chaos. Well, that's what life is. That's what nebula clouds are. That's what planetary disks are. That's what stars are. Stars come from
Even clouds, that's
explosions
not order.
that
That's
of
not
gas
order.
clouds that have condensed due to gravity. That's chaos to order.
That's not that's I'm saying when it comes to the level of order that we see, that is not possible in
Why
chaos.
not?
You can't get you
Why
can't
is it not
all right,
possible
so
naturally?
when you break down an atom, right? When you take an element, you break it down, and then you see that each atom is perfectly in a grid pattern. To say that that matter, that stardust, came together randomly. You're saying, oh, the matter randomly came together. The
Not what
atoms
we said.
randomly
That's not what we
came
said.
together.
Nobody said it was random. What we're
Well,
saying
that's
is
what
that
chaos is.
there
Chaos is
what we're no, what we're saying is that there could be deterministic laws of nature that naturally exist and yield order through chaos over time. Of course there could be. I'm asking you, why does it have to be a God? All you're saying is, look at the order, look at the order. But why does it have to be God?
all right. So it could be, I mean, it could be a magic space monkey. Whatever caused it was
Okay, great. So
ordered,
it could be,
just
do you
like
agree that
how
it
the
could be a
universe
natural
was.
reason, right? Like a quantum mechanical thing that caused the order?
Say that again. You cut out.
Could it be a quantum mechanical entity?
It could be like,
Great. So then it
but
doesn't
there
have to
was
be God.
there
Then
was
your argument collapses because it doesn't have
all
to
right,
be
but
God.
that would be God. If it was that, that would be the God.
Okay,
Like,
now all you're doing is labeling things that already exist God, right? Like, oh, this bottle is God.
when did I say the bottle of God?
Oh.
I'm saying whatever would have started or caused the universe. The universe exists
But whatever
underneath
caused the
order.
universe could be natural, and a God is by definition
All right,
beyond
but if
natural
it
law.
were to be natural, right, that means that the universe would have had to come from something else. If you want to assume that it's
No,
natural,
that's
to
not
assume that it was
that's not true.
created, that had to have had a creator.
No, you don't need a
Then you're
creator.
contradicting yourself, my brother.
Where's the contradiction?
Because you're saying that if it's ordered, it can come from something with chaos.
And I showed you examples of that happening naturally.
Not okay, not to the level of
Yes.
not to
Do
the
you know, do
level
you know
of
what do you know what a
17.
quantum do you know what a quantum fluctuation is?
No.
We can tell. So at the Big Bang,
Hey, it's all
it
right,
was the
dude.
most
I never claimed to be a
listen,
scientist, bro.
okay, that's fair. But just listen very carefully.
Yeah,
At the Big Bang, it was the most orderly state of the universe you know of today.
yeah.
The universe is most chaotic today than ever before. At the Big Bang, what we think happened prior was a quantum fluctuation. And this is an energy field that fluctuated and produced the universe we know today. So that orderly state was caused by something natural, a quantum field. You don't need God. It doesn't have to be a magic
Could
man.
you repeat that? You said a lot of science words. Could you say that again?
Yeah, just go learn some science and then come back, okay? Because I can't talk to somebody who doesn't really understand the science. A building needs a builder. A painting has a painter. And do volcanoes have volcano makers? Is there a lava man in the volcanoes making the magma come up like Pokemon? No. Not everything needs a man to do it.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how old are you?
I'm 27. How old are you?
Okay, what's your argument for God?
So what do you believe? Do you believe rock?
Do I believe rock?
Yeah, what do you believe? What do you stand for? Do you stand for cucumber? Is that what you stand for? You believe in cucumber?
Have a good day, sir. Can I just get somebody normal?
What's going on?
Hello?
How you doing?
Hey, what do you got?
So when you claim God is imaginary, can you define God and imaginary?
God is a supreme being, typically Christian or Muslim gods, and imaginary is not real.
And what's your evidence for this?
Divine hiddenness, problem of evil, contradictions in the omni properties, lack of evidence for it. Now, do you have any evidence for God?
Yeah, so I disagree that there's a contradiction in the omni properties, and the problem of evil can be explained if you understand theology. There's an
Great.
explanation for all of these objections, I guess.
Okay,
Have you looked
but that
at
still
them?
doesn't
Or,
demonstrate that God exists, right? Like,
so when you say demonstrate, are you meaning like a science experiment? What do you mean by demonstrate?
any kind of evidence, anything.
Okay, so evidence for me is not just limited to science, the scientific method. So I would say, I start with an axiom that I exist, which is completely subjective. So that demonstrates to me that things can be true. Evidence for true things can be based on things that are subjective, based on logic. So when I build my argument from that standpoint, I can at least get to an uncaused cause, because for the universe to exist, for me it's a contradiction to say that there's infinite universes before this universe. It doesn't
Why?
make
Where's the
any.
contradiction?
The contradiction would be in the definition of beginning, and also the definition of cause. The contradiction is like saying that there is a beginning and no beginning at the same time. We wouldn't exist if there wasn't a first cause that
Why
was
not? Why
uncaused.
not? Why not?
Why not? Because that's the contradiction. Is I don't have a syllogism, but I can prove
Yeah,
that.
well, you're going to either have to give the syllogism, or I'm assuming you think that it's because we have to traverse an infinite amount of time to get to this moment. Is that where you're trying to go?
No, for in order for me to be here, the thing prior to me had to exist, and for that thing to exist, the thing prior to that had to exist. So if you go back to infinity, it the present would never actualize
Yeah, that's
because
what I just said. That's what I just said.
yeah. So
So
we
the
wouldn't
point,
exist if there was infinite regress.
no, that's incorrect because time doesn't pass. That's an illusion, right? Time itself is merely a dimension that can exist infinitely as one block. And the passage of time is an illusion brought about by the brain. But you're viewing the world as if there's one present moment and there is no future and the past is gone. That's not how time actually works. Time, according to relativity, exists in all dimension, in all areas of the universe. What we call the future exists. What we call the past exists still right now. They all exist simultaneously because space and time are both dimensions. And just as all the space is out there in the universe, so is all of time. And this is evidenced by relativity.
Yeah, but the issue here is, I know there's two different definitions of time, but within this time, there are things happening. So the expansion of the universe is happening because of a thing prior to it. So it's external or internal forces,
so
whatever it might be.
again, there's an eternalist view, then there's a presentist view. You're taking on the presentist view when there's no reason why you couldn't take on the eternalist view with the same paradigm. We can have change under a universe that is static. It's just that time, the change itself isn't passing. The change just statically exists.
So you agree that something exists eternally. There wasn't anything called nothingness
I think
in
that's
the
the
past.
most possible scenario, that things exist forever. But
Okay.
even if there's a beginning, it doesn't mean God exists, right?
No, but between these two propositions, I just think that I just don't. For me, it's not intuitive to think that things can happen on their own without a mind.
Nobody ever said they did.
No, but mind has to exist, right? I mean, for me, randomness does not exist. I can't prove that randomness is actually true. We just give that label of
This is a
randomness.
black and white fallacy. You're saying it's either randomness or God. No, there could be deterministic laws in nature that are natural and necessary. Hence, yield the universe in which there stuff like us exists. There doesn't have to be a God. You have not shown why there has to be a God yet.
No, but between these two propositions, deterministic laws are more probable than God.
God isn't even a probable thing to even assess because God is just a word. It's not defined properly. You can't even define God properly.
Where did the deterministic laws come from?
They're necessary. They're necessary.
Okay, so they're necessary, but God is not necessary.
What's God and why would it be necessary?
You see, it's not just. I mean, when we can park this on the side and then bring other arguments like the revelation, miracles, testimonial
there
evidence.
are no arguments. There are no arguments that are in your favor. Revelation's nonsense. There are no revelations. It's garbage. There's no. The Bible's nonsense. The Quran is nonsense. They're storybooks.
Why do you believe that? I mean, so people get convinced because of just
Talking snakes, dude. Come on, like you believe that garbage?
Yeah, I do believe. So I believe that Islam is the true religion, but miracles.
Oh, really?
happen-
So you think ants can talk?
Yeah. If an all-powerful entity does exist, then ants can talk, sheep can talk.
Yeah, but look at the
moons can
burden.
split.
Look at the burden you've just placed on yourself, right? Now you have to demonstrate that there's a super uber galactic powerful magic man to say that statement in the first place, right? Look at what you're presupposing to say that. When look at
Yeah.
my view, which is way more parsimonious in the sense that all I'm doing is saying, hey, it's a natural deterministic world. That's it. Shit happens, right?
But
That's my
it
view.
doesn't explain
your,
anything.
Your view is that there's an uber galactic, super magical man who put all the animals in an ark and threw them across the oceans. And the penguins flew to Antarctica, and fucking kangaroos hopped onto Australia from Turkey. And there's talking ants and talking snakes and Adam and Eve and impossible contradictory stories.
Well, the issue with
burden-
this worldview is it doesn't have the same explanatory power as theism, where it tells you
not?
why you're here, where you're going, it gives you purpose in life.
Those are all ad hoc, right? It doesn't show us why it's necessary that we have to have a reason for being here. Why is God here, right?
Because God is necessary.
Okay,
don't
great.
have-
Then we could just say the universe is necessary, right? And we got nowhere. We're the same. Our two hypotheticals have the same explanatory power.
But in your definition of universe, what is the universe made up of? Carbon atoms,
energy, matter.
space, gases. These are all dependent things, though.
These are that's an assertion, right?
These are possible things that can exist that don't have to exist. They can, if we can imagine another universe.
Keep supposing that. Why can't it be necessary? Why can't space-time be necessary?
Because of the stuff they're made up of.
Space-time isn't made of stuff, right? It's a construct. It's one entity. It's not made of anything.
Yeah, but space and time consist of galaxies and stars and all these things.
No, space and time contains galaxies, but it's not made of galaxies.
So how would you what is space and time then? How would you know what's space and time?
It's a mathematical construct.
So mathematics exist. Mathematics is necessary, you think, or
What?
mathematics like numbers and stuff? Do you think that's something that exists independent of this universe?
No, math is a mind-dependent entity, just like logic. There's just a language. The point here is that there doesn't have to. There could be an entity called space-time that exists necessarily. I don't need to add God. Why do we have to have a God there?
No, but adding God is explaining things better. It just if you accept things like Occam's razor,
like what?
like everything, like why we exist, why there's suffering, why there's afterlife.
Why do we exist if God exists? Why?
Why do we exist if God exists? No, what I'm saying is,
what's the purpose of our existence under your theistic view?
in my theistic worldview, the purpose of this life is for us to be for God to allow us free will to determine our own fate in the afterlife.
Okay. So now you're saying baked into your theology is the notion of free will. Now that's an extra claim you're adding. Free will doesn't have to exist. We don't have free will. There's no evidence of that.
Oh no,
So
free will is.
Now
I mean, by the way,
now you're adding all this extra fluff to your theology when deterministic naturalism is way more parsimonious, because I don't have to hold to free will, right? You're now clinged on to this free will
but
notion.
you do realize that
If it
there are
doesn't-
three
if
positions.
free will doesn't look, hold on. If free will doesn't exist, your entire view collapses, right? Look how susceptible that is. Whereas whether or not free will exists, in my view, it doesn't actually do anything.
So if I give you evidence of actual atheistic philosophers that accept compatibilism as their worldview,
Compatibilism is a form of determinism. It's not free
yeah,
will.
that's what we accept. No, yeah, I didn't say I was a libertarian. I accept.
So then you agree that we don't have free will?
We have free will in a deterministic world, where we are moral agents responsible for moral actions.
Okay, how do we have free will under a deterministic view?
How? What do you mean how?
You said that we have free will under determinism. How?
We can feel it. We know that we can make a decision at every moment in our life, whether I can make a decision to either lift this cup up or not lift it up. I can.
Right, but that
that's-
decision, right? I agree that it feels like we have freedom to move bottles and cups and basketballs and soccer
Yeah.
balls. The problem is that perhaps there's a reason prior to you acting that decides why you did that in the first place. Perhaps there's brain chemistry. Perhaps there's a physical phenomenon in the brain that explains the cause that caused that effect to happen. Perhaps there's a deterministic causal chain where every thought you have is determined by your brain, and every brain process is determined by other processes, chemical processes, and those are stimulated by the environment. Perhaps there's an entire causal network that completely defines the notion of freedom.
So someone can just unalive someone and go in the court of law say, "Oh, it wasn't me. It was the chemicals in my brain that did it."
Yeah,
Does that sound
now
reasonable?
you're that's not what my position. That's a straw man. I never said that. Number
No,
one.
no,
Number
but
two,
you
we
that
can
is
have
what
a
you're
sense
saying
of.
though.
Hold on, hold on.
Are people responsible for their actions in
Yes,
your worldview?
yes, I think
Okay.
that we're responsible within a societal framework. But technically speaking, yes, we are subject to the universe, of course. But the problem is that we live in a society where we act as if we have free will, hence we act as if we have responsibility, and for that alone, that's perfectly valid to do. There's nothing wrong with assuming responsibility, even though it's not real. It's still valid because guess what? When we do these things, when we set responsibilities to people, they act differently. It determines them to act differently for the better, right? In a way that we prefer. So the point is that we can still ground responsibility within a deterministic world.
I don't know. I mean, I agree that determinism is a pretty solid concept. Like, either there's a saying in amongst the philosophers that either you're deterministic or you don't know what determinism actually is. But in our worldview, it explains things better because the determiner is
Okay.
God,
How about
and
this? How about this? How about this one? Does God know the future?
yes.
This seems to be incompatible with free will then, because if God knows the future, then he knows what you will do before you do it. Hence, it implies that there's deterministic rules in the universe we live in, right? When you say that the future is known, now you're saying that one future outcome must happen and you can't choose otherwise. So if, for example, God knows that tomorrow I will eat pizza instead of donuts, well, I don't have a choice come tomorrow to choose donuts rather than the pizza. I have to choose the pizza because it's in alignment with what God knows I will choose. So
You
now
see
there's a paradox here. How do you solve that?
the thing you're missing out here is like, okay, so for tomorrow, the fact that either I will pick a pizza or a donut tomorrow, I don't know that. So that part of that aspect of the future
Right,
decision
but
is
God
something that.
knows it, right? But the fact that God
Yeah,
knows the
but well,
future
how does
means
that change our life though?
well, what it changes is the fact that we don't have freedom to choose otherwise that that of which God knows. I can't choose to get the donut if God knows I will get the pizza.
Sorry, I got a phone call. I got to head out. It was
Okay.
it was
Thank
I got a phone
good,
call.
it was a good discussion. Thank you.
What up?
Hey, what do you got?
Well, I mean, what's your concept of God? Like, what are you thinking of like,
Imaginary.
huh?
Imaginary.
No, but I'm saying like when you say God is imaginary, what do you mean God? Like, what is
So,
God?
yeah, when we use the word God, I don't really know what it means because it's incoherent to me. That's why I say it's not real. But typically, people mean like a supreme being who's all powerful. That's what they typically say. But to me, that's
Okay,
completely ridiculous.
okay, so let's try to have like a basis of what if we can try to come to some sort of like understanding we could both agree on. People when they talk about God, they talk about God as being a creator, right? He created existence, everything that is the universe, the earth, everything, right?
Okay, but there's different types of creation, right? There's creation ex nihilo. There's creation ex materia. The, just because you say creation doesn't mean that it necessitates a being with a mind, right? You can have natural creation, like
Right. But what I mean
volcanoes
is
and
that
earthquakes.
like everything has to have like some origin, right? Everything has come from some point. When you look
Okay,
at
great.
at
Then where did
nature,
God come? Then where's God's origin?
so because we are finite, right? We can't understand. We have a limit. We have a limit to what we can understand, right? So if we were to take out religion, if we were to just take out religion and say, okay, this is an intelligent design, right? Like when we start to look at things smaller and smaller, or particles smaller and smaller and smaller, there's an organization to it, right? So there has to be some sort of connection through everything, and the connection for everything comes down to math.
All right, I
Everything,
can't see you. You said we're intelligently designed. I got to get my glasses to see properly. What? You
Every
said intelligent design?
right, everything that is created has some sort of design to it. Because you
Oh, I
can you
couldn't hear you. Oh, I can't hear. Let me get my hearing aid. I can't hear too well. What? You said intelligent design?
right.
I got allergies. I'm sorry. My immune system's attacking itself. I'm sorry. You said what? Intelligent design?
Right.
I gotta take my pills. I gotta go, guys. I gotta take my pills.
What do you mean
Look,
by
look,
what
look,
you're saying?
look. The point is that if you're gonna say intelligent design, I can point out thousands of flaws in our biology and physiology, right? People choke to death on their food every day. We have one hole to eat and breathe from. We sleep 8 hours a day. It's a waste of our life. A third of our life gone out the window. We have to eat and drink every day just to survive. That's a dumb design to me. I mean, we get cancers, disease, mutations. It's just not very, intelligent to me.
Right. So what I'm talking about is that everything is created with a certain balance. Everything can be broken down into a smaller piece. And all these things are broken down into what can be understood through math. So math is a universal language. You can go to Mars and you can study Mars and you'll find math there, right? So that's a language, okay?
No,
And
no, no.
so
Yeah,
this is, huh?
the language is produced by our brains. It's not in the universe. It's not
Well,
real.
it existed before we had the understanding of any of it, right?
No, no, that's the problem you're misunderstanding here, right? Math is merely a language that it's dependent on our minds to exist. It doesn't exist outside of our minds necessarily.
Necessarily. Well, I mean, it does. It's just it's something doesn't exist to us until we're aware of it. So just because, like, let's say you were born in a time period where there weren't cars, and then you saw a car, you'd be like, well, how would you explain that, right? So there's things that exist, there's things that you know, there's things you know that you don't know, and there's things you don't know that you don't know. Have you ever heard that before? There's things you know that you know, there's things you know that you don't know.
Yeah, the problem is that when we make knowledge claims or make true statements, these are just descriptive or they're analytical, which means that they're conceptual in our minds. We're just taking previously existing concepts and trying to figure out what's true based on those things. It doesn't mean that there is some kind of mathematical objects in the reality we live in, right? There's no number, there's no real math in the world around us.
Right. Well, everything has an origin. Can we agree on that? Everything has to start at some point.
But if we agree, look at where this gives you. Like, where's God's origin?
So, like I said, there are things that like are out of our understanding. Just like I said, there's things you know
Just
that you
answer the
don't know.
question, sir. Just answer the question. Does God have an origin?
I would say that God, whatever God
Sir,
is
yes or
beyond
no?
is
Yes or
beyond
no? Just yes or it's either yes or no, right? So does God have an origin? Yes or no?
a starting point where from he didn't exist. No, God doesn't have an origin.
Great. So if God doesn't have an origin, why do we need an origin for the universe?
Because it's like looking at a two-dimensional object, right? And so a two-dimensional object cannot look at something outside of its dimension. So it's limited. It's limited to its reality. So technically, like for instance, if there is actual things as aliens, right? We don't know how their ships work. That's out of our understanding. But extraterrestrials, according to
Sir, you're going on a tangent. Can the universe exist eternally? Yes or no?
the universe, cannot exist eternally
Why not?
because the universe has an origin. So everything that has a
That's
beginning,
question begging. I'm asking you why. Why do you know it has to have a beginning?
because we have enough understanding to look back and see that, first of all, the universe is expanding, right? So that means that at one point, everything was condensed to one point.
But it doesn't mean that there was nothing before that point, nor does it mean that there has
It
to be a
doesn't. You're
start.
right. You're right. It doesn't mean that there was nothing before that point. But as far as we know, that's as far as we can go back, right?
Yeah, and that's the problem. We're limited, right? The Big Bang is not the beginning. The Big Bang is the end of our observations of the universe. It doesn't mean that there has to be a beginning. There is no scientific or mathematical laws that say there has to be a beginning. That just doesn't exist.
Well, anything that is in existence has to have, besides whatever it is that
Besides God,
besides whatever it was that like pushed it, right? Something
everything
made
has
it
a beginning
happen.
except for God.
Something made all this happen. So what is it
Who
that
made
made this
God happen?
happen?
Who made God happen?
That's something that nobody can say. Nobody knows. But what is God?
If you
Nobody
don't
knows what
know,
God.
then why do
Nobody
you
knows what God
claim
is
it's
either.
impossible? Look. You're making a very, very bold claim by saying that there has to be a beginning and that God did it. These are very bold claims you're making.
Well,
Both
I
of
don't know
which
what
is
God
not true.
is.
What?
I don't know what God is
Then why do you believe it?
because something had to set an order, right? Because it's not like it's It's
This is an
everything.
argument from ignorance, right? You're just saying, I don't know how this happened, therefore God did it, right? This
Well,
is just God of the gaps. I'm asking you how you know God exists, and you so far have not given me any evidence. And I agree, there's order in the universe. Great. But guess what? There are naturalistic ways that order can be produced.
but what made that naturalistic
Gravity,
order?
electromagnetic energy. There's possible ways in which you can get order from chaos.
Yeah, so out of chaos comes order. But
Not always, but
everything has an order. Everything can be traced back to something. And so we have to consider
why
that
do you
there
keep saying that? Why? Why do you keep begging the question?
because we
Why
have
not?
to take into consideration by what we know by our intelligence, you're an intelligent person,
No.
that
Look.
something.
You're the one falling for this mistake. You're saying, I don't know how the universe began. Therefore, God did it. That's what you're doing here. I'm asking you to bridge it together so this way we can actually have an answer. You're not giving me an answer. You're just saying, well, God did it. Why? Because he did it. It's not an
I
answer.
don't really want to say God.
You
I'd
don't
rather
know how
say
he did it. You don't
something.
know how he did it or why he did it or the evidence that it did it. Then you have no argument here.
Well, if you just base it off of what what is, you can look at and judge and be like, okay, I understand that this has an organization. It's just, I think there's more
Okay, how about
probability.
this? Is God orderly?
Absolutely.
Then by your own logic, somebody designed God.
Well, personally, I think that God is that infinite energy, right? It's
Look, your
infinite. It
entire
lasts.
argument, your entire argument today was there's order. That means that's design. And then now you're saying that God's orderly. But it doesn't need design? Like this is special pleading.
Does God need design? I mean, I think
You
I
tell
don't think
me. You tell me, sir.
I don't think we can have a conversation outside of our realm of understanding
Then why the fuck do you believe in something that you can't understand?
because when I look at creation, everything is in an order and in a
How
structure
do you know it's creation?
because it had to have a starting point. Something set it off in a direction.
All right, yeah, we're going in circles. How do you know God exists? Because everything has a beginning. Okay, how did God begin? Oh, he was always there. Okay, why can't the universe be always there? Because it has a beginning. It's a big circle. The circle of love. Ah, okay.
Hello? Hello?
Hey, what's your evidence for your magic God?
I'm gonna ask a question. Why do you think God is not real?
Because there's no evidence for it, and every time you come up here, you fail miserably at giving good reasons.
Oh, this is weird to say, but how come like every single other like weekend you say God is real, and then I see like you post like other things that
You're a child. Next, go watch Barney. I love you. Do 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 do. The wheels on the bus go round and round. That's the kind of discussion you got to be having, okay?
Yo.
Subscribe to the YouTube.
Nah, just playing. What's up? Alright, so this is gonna get people upset, but non-human intelligence created us.
Okay, what's your evidence of this?
Well, we would have evidence by now if Congress, some people in legislation actually allowed the evidence to go through to the U.S. people. There's already evidence, but it's just not going
Where is
through.
it?
It's not going through
so
the
you can't
legislation.
provide. So you actually can't provide the evidence, but you claim it's there.
No, it is there. It's just not getting passed through legislation. 'cause
Okay, so do you
nobody's-
have the evidence then? Do you have the evidence?
Yeah, I mean, we know for a fact that there's
Wait, where's
UAPs.
that? Where is that evidence of aliens?
Well, we know this from intelligence officials. I mean, they've claimed under oath that it's true. Under oath.
Yeah, and Bill Clinton said he never got a BJ, but he did, right? Like, just because you're an official doesn't mean that you never lie, right?
Under oath. So if you're caught lying under oath,
Look, listen. I don't care what somebody says, right? I want data. I want evidence that we can verify, right? I want something we can go, yeah, this demonstrates that aliens made us, right? By the way, even if aliens existed, it doesn't mean that they made us, right? So that's another claim you're made. So I'm really curious as to see your evidence for these aliens, and if you have them, I'd love to see it. But if you don't, just go away. Stop being dishonest.
yeah. No, look. I'm not talking about these little green men that everybody's talking about. It's trying to get through legislation. There is evidence for it, but nobody's paying
Where's the
attention to it.
evidence? Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence?
I'm trying to explain it to you. It's not going through legislation or Congress because these Republicans keep denying these bills to go through to the U.S.
Okay, so how
people.
long? So how long until we get the evidence? A year, 2 years, 4 years? How
Yeah,
long
it
does
could
that
be
wait?
literally by the end of this year, even the beginning of next year, if people actually
Okay,
start
great.
paying
So
attention to
at
it.
the end of the year, come back right after Christmas break. Come back and give us the evidence for aliens. Okay? Thank you. Enjoy. Hear that, guys? Aliens are coming. Meet.
Mike, so I'm gonna be honest with you. Do you know how sad it makes you look when you put God as imaginary? Can you prove me wrong? When
You know
God
how
is laughing
ignorant,
at you
you
right
know how
now,
ignorant you look when you don't provide evidence for your God?
well, God laughs at you. You know that, right?
I laugh at God. I
Well, he
laugh
laughs at
harder.
you. You
I laugh
question your
harder
own
at God.
existence. How were you created? Don't even
You
say
weren't.
evolution with me. I don't want to hear it. Tell me how you were created.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to hear science. Science?
I don't
Oh,
want to hear science because science isn't biblical.
I'm
Science isn't
science-phobic.
biblical.
I'm
That's not
truthophobic.
even a word, dude.
I'm
First,
factophobic. I don't like facts.
how's that a
I'm
fact?
allergic to facts.
No, dude. Answer me. How's that a fact?
We have DNA evidence, we have fossil evidence, and lab evidence of evolution.
Do we? Are you sure?
We do. Take a look at Richard Linsky's the 1990s. He had an experiment where he took E. coli and saw their speciation. We have chromosome 2, which is a fusion that occurred in our DNA, which is proof of our common chimp-ape divergence. We have evidence in the fossil record, homologous, analogous structures in geological strata, showing speciation through multiple generations. The evidence is there, sir. You just don't have the eyes to see it.
Okay, so explain me this. Back in the 80s, they found blood that was in Jerusalem where supposedly Jesus had died, and it had more than the average human chromosome. So explain to me that. Why was there blood that never
where's
was
your scientific paper on this Jesus blood?
It's on Google. It's literally a whole documentary on it.
Do you have,
They actually studied the blood. They studied the blood. The blood wasn't even like nullified. It was still alive. Actually.
Oh, do you have his poop too? Do you have Jesus feces?
We don't need his poop. We have his blood as evidence in this world.
Do you have his urine sample too?
Wait. And if Jesus isn't real, why is it always war in the Middle East? Why did the Bible predict that there would be war?
Keith, do you have any scientific peer-reviewed papers on Jesus' blood?
You can Google it. Put it on.
That's
Go to
not
Google
science,
right now.
sir. I can
But
Google
you
flat
just
Earth.
you told me to look up some guy who did an experiment. Did you not just say that? So I'm telling you something I found online.
Is his name Ron Wyatt by chance?
I think so. I'm not sure.
He's a fraud. He's not a scientist. He's never published a single fucking paper in his life. He's a fraud.
I don't think it was Ron Wyatt though, but like it sounds
Okay,
familiar.
great. Then who is it?
Can
what's
someone in
their
the chat
evidence?
quickly Google
What's
it for a
their
minute? I'm on
evidence?
my phone, or I would totally look it up. I'm in my car. I can't.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a computer next to you?
I'm having a hard time believing that you have the most amazing piece of data ever to exist, and you don't have it. You can't provide it to us today. You
Can
don't
someone
have
get
it.
it for me? Appreciate it. Someone get me the name really quick.
They're saying Ron Wyatt. Yeah, he's a fraud.
It's not Ron Wyatt.
Okay, I'll trust you. I have faith.
I like that. I like that you have faith. Someone said Albert Einstein.
Let's wish and pray. Let's wish and pray that it's not Ron Wyatt.
Okay, I got it. I got who it is. It's Juan Riot. So it's WON
Oh, it's
RYATT.
Ron Riot. Oh,
That's
it's
not
evil
Ron
twin.
Wyatt. It's Juan Riot.
All right, have a good day. He's laughing at himself because he knows how ridiculous that is. There is no evidence of Jesus' blood or Jesus' feces or Jesus' semen or Jesus' urine. It doesn't exist. Everybody, please subscribe to the YouTube. I have all my debates there, all my debate lives with comments, science videos, lots of great content. I actually was in a debate yesterday on the Crucible, the channel, a formal debate. You can go check that out as well. It was interesting. I also reviewed that debate. Go check it out. Link in bio.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
William.
Hello. So can I ask you a question?
Okay, make it quick.
If I was to kill someone tomorrow for no reason, is there a problem with that?
Is that what?
Is there any problem with me killing anyone tomorrow? If I was to go
Yeah,
out,
there's a problem with that to me, yes.
why is there a problem?
Because you're taking somebody's life away that they valued.
Okay, but who's giving it value though?
We are as people.
That doesn't make any sense. Who are you as a person to tell me I can't kill someone?
Because we are
What you're
humans that
saying,
can speak
what
and
you're
can say,
what you're
hey, don't do
what you're
that.
saying is you have morality, and your morality comes from God, because you have an idea of
my
what is wrong
morality,
or
my
right.
morality comes from my brain, just as yours does, right? Morality is a brain thing. It's part of the limbic system. It's not from God, right? By the way, what God do you believe in?
So why is it wrong to you? Why do I have to listen to your brain?
You don't
I
have
don't care
to.
about your brain.
When
I
did I
don't
ever say? When did I say you have to listen to me?
You said it's from your brain. You said your brain tells you it's wrong. Why does your brain tell you it's wrong?
Because I evaluate the consequences to my actions. That's how I derive morality.
Okay, what's the
You seem to
consequence?
get morality from a magic sky daddy that
What's
just
the
said, "Don't murder, don't steal,
what's the
don't wear mixed
consequence?
garments."
What is the consequence?
What's the consequence of God not doing things that
I
God
don't
wants us
understand.
to
I don't
do?
understand. If I was to kill you now, what's the consequence of that?
I die. I die, and my family is sad.
Wow, that's not my problem though.
Okay, but guess what? It is my problem. And the point is, that's how ethics works. We evaluate each other's lives and the consequences to our actions, right? And there's entire meta-ethical discussion about what is the best ethical theory to subscribe to. But the point is that ethics is an endeavor that tries to appeal to what we want and how we want to live with each other in society. That's it. I don't need God for that. I don't need to read a Bible to know that it's wrong to kill somebody. That is something I can come to on my own by using my brain. Now, what do you believe in, the Christian God or the Muslim God?
So do you believe morals are subjective, or do you believe in objective morality?
Morality can only be subjective. Do you believe in God?
So you think morality is subjective?
Yes, and you do too. Morality can only be subjective. Here I can show you.
So
Look,
in any case,
sir,
is it okay for me
listen.
Is it okay for me to rape a kid in any case?
It's wrong. That's always wrong to me. Now, can you answer my
How's it
question?
subjective then?
Just because morality is subjective doesn't mean I can't have a stance about something being always wrong.
But you just said it's subjective. Make up your mind.
Yeah, why is it that I can't have a stance or moral stance why can't I have a moral stance
Then
without
that
it
means
being
you don't
objective?
believe in subjective morality then.
What's
you believe
wrong with
because
subjective
you believe
morality?
because you believe some things are wrong objectively, which is what you just agreed with just
No.
now.
What does objective mean to you?
Objective means that this is wrong, no matter the culture, the situation. This is wrong, and
Okay,
that's
great.
final.
Great.
Subjective
Okay,
means
great. So
hold on,
let's
Let me
analyze
finish.
this.
Hold on,
JS, let's
wait.
hold on, sir. Let's analyze this. Let's analyze this then. By your definition of objective, do you believe in the Christian God?
Yes.
Okay. In Exodus
We're not even-
21:7,
We're not even talking about.
sir,
We're just talking about
please
morals.
listen. In Exodus 27, your God gives commands to allow people to enslave children as sex slaves. Do you agree with that?
Now you're asking me about specific.
Sir, do you agree with God's
Yeah.
morality?
I don't believe in what you just said because you're asking me about specific quotes that have to be
Sir,
taken in
in the
context.
Bible,
You're
this
talking
shouldn't
me.
be
That's
hard for
not the
you.
point of
This
the.
shouldn't be
That's
hard
not
for
the
you,
point of the
sir.
conversation. That's not the point of the conversation. You're asking me about
Oh, now he
specific.
wants to pivot, right?
No, we're not
In your
pivoting because
Bible,
that's not what we're talking about.
well, we fucking are. So listen and answer honestly, or you will
We
be
weren't.
kicked out.
No, we weren't. We weren't.
Listen, do you agree with your God's biblical law in Exodus and Leviticus, which allow for slavery, sexual slavery, killing, SA? Do you agree these things that your God allowed in the Old Testament? Yes or no?
Not taken out of context.
Oh, in what context is it okay to enslave children?
I'm saying the verse that you just brought up has been taken out of context.
What's the context in which it's okay to own slaves and beat them?
For example, I have not seen that specific verse.
Leviticus
but in terms of-
25, Leviticus 20:13, Exodus 21:7. I can go through all the verses we need to, sir.
that has been taken out of context.
What's the context
have
then?
to-
What's
and
the
you have to-
context? What's the
and you have-
context then?
And you have to look at it in the frame and the society that was there at the time.
Oh, but I
Where-
thought no
where
matter the
slaves-
I
where
thought
slaves
no
were-
matter the culture, it was always wrong.
But that's not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is
Oh, okay.
in every every single situation, rape is wrong and and pedophilia is wrong.
I agree, sir. But the
you-
problem
but you
is
said
that
it's
you don't
objective,
have
though.
objectivity. You pretend you do, but you don't actually have it.
But you said that you don't. But you said you believe in subjective morality.
Yeah, there's no
But you
evidence of objective ethics. Do you have evidence that your God's objective? And can you answer my question? What's the context in which it's okay to own a slave? or
But you just told me that every single situation rape is wrong.
To me, that's my stance.
So that means that's an objective stance then.
No, that's a subjective stance.
How? Do you know
Because that's my
subjectivity means that in
So
certain
that's my sir. Listen, this is you're so confused for no reason. It's very simple.
I think you're confused, to be honest, bro.
However,
Because you just told me
so listen. To me, rape is always wrong. That's my stance. Now, I'm gonna do a comparative analysis to your stance. You're saying that yours is objective, right? You're saying that my God's morality is always right. Okay, great. If that's the case, then why in the Old Testament does your God allow all these brutalities and disgusting things?
as a Christian, I look at the New Testament.
But I thought your God's morality was always right.
His morality is always right.
So then doesn't the Old Testament apply?
We look at the New Testament because that's when we've been delivered from grace and received Jesus' salvation. That's
Yeah,
what we
but-
focus upon.
So you're saying God changed his morality. He just changes it on a whim?
I'm not saying he specifically changed his morality, but as Christians, we focus on the New Testament. And that's our guidance, our teachings for
So
how to live our life.
You can't have your cake and eat it too, right? This is what you're doing. You're saying,
How?
I have objective morality, but it's subjective when I want it to be subjective. This is what you just displayed today.
No,
You're
but you
displaying
just
dishonesty and a
but that's what,
contradictory. ethics framework.
no, my brother. That's what you have displayed. You just
Where's
told
the
me that.
inconsistency?
You just told me that morality is
JS,
subjective.
where's the
But
inconsistency
then
in
when I
my view? Where's the inconsistency
the
in my view?
inconsistency in your view is that you told me grape is always wrong, but
That's my
then you just
stance.
told me morality is subjective. How does that make sense? Subjectivity means in certain situations and circumstances, this could be
No, it doesn't.
no, it
So
means it
this
could
is
be
where you're
morally
wrong, right?
acceptable and morally acceptable.
Subjectivity. Listen,
So
subjectivity.
so is murder right in any circumstances
No,
then?
it's always wrong to me.
What if it's
And
self-defense?
that's not murder then. That would be killing. That would be murder. And murder
Okay,
is
okay,
unjustified.
is killing wrong in any circumstance then?
For defense.
Okay, so is that so you say that's a subjective claim on your part?
Yes, I have a subjective stance that it's always wrong to murder. Period. I don't need objectivity.
Okay, so that means that means you believe in subjective morality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then when I just said grape, why are you saying that it's always wrong then?
Because that's my stance that it's always wrong. It doesn't make it
That just shows
objective.
you're inconsistent.
Where, if
Because
by definition,
that means you're not consistent on
listen, I
everything.
can clear this up. If you would just listen, I can clear this up for you, right? Subjectivity means stance dependent. It's not about saying it's always wrong. It's about stances, right? Objectivity means beyond stances. That no matter what anybody's stance is, that is always wrong. But subjectively, we can still have a stance, but it be to us always wrong to murder or always wrong to grape. That is a perfectly consistent ethical framework.
So, what I'm asking you is, overall, do you believe morality is objective or subjective?
Subjective.
You think it's subjective? So you're saying so you're talking about in certain topics then, because grape is a certain topic, killing is a certain topic, stealing is a certain topic. Are you talking about it in terms of?
I'm not doing this anymore. I can't talk to people like that. It's like circular. It's like driving in a circle forever. Hey guys, please subscribe to the YouTube. Appreciate it. Every subscription gets one clap. Yay, pat in the back. A free clap, a free clap. What do I get out of this? It's not about me, it's about people that I care about in the world, right? I care about people and how, we treat each other as people. I care about being compassionate. And society
I just find it fascinating that someone that says that God's imaginary but believes in multiple genders is like mind-boggling to me, right? Because the fascination of
do you think that, do you believe in
imagination,
Sir,
bro.
do you think that,
You say that God is imagination, bro.
Sir?
But yet you look around everywhere and you
Sir?
can see that creation is alive, bro. I just don't
Okay.
get that concept, bro.
Okay, sir, do you believe that there's a woman and a man?
Yes.
Those are two genders. You believe in multiple genders. Thank you. Great. Now, when it comes
No,
to
you
God,
you believe that there's 30 genders, bro, which is ridiculous because that's a concept of the mind, same as imagination. So God would be imagination.
How do you know? I know you look around and go, wow, look at the trees, brother. They're so green. That means God made them. I know you say that, but why do you say that? What about the tree makes it created by somebody? Why can't it be a natural thing? For example, photosynthesis, right? There's something called biology. You probably haven't gotten there yet in school yet, but when you learn about biology, you'll figure it out. So can you go ahead and give us evidence of God now? Do you know how to put your mic back on, sir?
Yo, can I talk? Okay, if biology, right, is a part of nature, right? Biology is a part of nature, and science can only explain certain aspects of nature. and we still have not discovered what's underneath the ocean yet, right?
Wrong.
But yet
We have
we know.
never been under the ocean, sir.
Excuse me, you have not seen what's underneath the Mariana Trench, bro. It's huge. We're still making discoveries.
The mantle. It's the mantle. Oh, he was removed for violations. It's not a good sign. Yeah, he was at Denny's or something. Oh man. Look at creation. Look at the trays. Oh, it's the crust. That's what's under the freaking Mariana Trench.
Yo,
Hey, what do you got?
yeah, I think that you hit a pretty good point when you said that you believe in different genders and stuff like that, but you don't believe in a God. I find that to be pretty damn true.
So you don't believe in multiple genders? You don't believe that a woman and a man can exist as genders? That's multiple genders.
I mean, I guess he's referring to more so like a trans woman being a woman kind of a thing, but you don't believe in God, so
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being a trans woman because a gender called a woman is just a criteria that we subjectively produce. It's an identity, right? It's how we identify sexually in our society. Sex is different than gender. Sex is chromosomal. It is
yeah, but
dependent
what
on
is
your chromosomes, but gender is not. Gender is something that we as people in society produce. And there are multiple genders because there's multiple ways to identify in societies.
I'd have to disagree with that because they'd be objectively defined off of what the sex actually is. That's where they get what trans is
You're,
from.
well, now you're just asserting that, right? When
Well,
gender is, again, an identity, it is not a chromosomal thing, it's a neurochemical thing.
okay,
Right?
so
Gender
where
is how you perceive yourself and identify
what
yourself in
would
society. That's
what
why there's multiple genders. And people that are transgender, they simply have neurochemistry that is different than what they were assigned at birth, right? If you're born female, you're called a woman, typically. But what if you're born female but have a male brain? A male neurochemistry. You would not call
There's-
yourself a female. You would not call yourself a woman. You would call yourself a
that
male.
makes no
You would call
sense
yourself a
because your
male.
gender is objectively defined by sex. Otherwise, you wouldn't
No, it
know
is
what
not.
you're comparing it
This is the crux of the issue. You don't understand the difference between gender and sex. You don't understand this.
Watch this. I'll make my point even easier for you. If it's a trans woman, what are they basing their gender off of? Go.
Their identity,
What's that identity based off of?
societal norms.
So if you want to avoid it, it's based off of a female. You can't know what it's like to be a woman if
No,
there's
it's not.
objective
See, you're
females.
stuck here. No.
So is it made off of men then?
Gender is based on identity and societal norms, right? How about this?
Mhm.
If we lived in a society where a woman was somebody who, was just like you, like a man, right? Somebody we would call a man who would, have short hair and be masculine. In that society, would you call yourself a woman or a man?
But that's a terrible hypothetical because that's not the society we
Now you
live
don't
in.
want to answer the question. It's a very easy hypothetical, sir. You would call yourself a woman in that society because that's a simple identity.
We've objectively
It's nothing
defined what a
more
woman
than-
was for
look,
eons now.
It's just
We've
a
never been
word that
confused.
we use to describe how we identify in specific societies. It has nothing to do with chromosomes. Nothing.
I never spoke about chromosomes. I'm telling you a woman
Yeah,
is based
do you know
off
what?
of
Yeah,
objectively
this is
what
the
a female
problem. You
is.
don't understand.
Otherwise, you wouldn't know what a woman is.
We do.
You can't
Right?
argue that.
It's societal. That's what a woman is. A woman is an identity that is
And that
based on
society is
societal
defined
norms.
off of what sex? Not males.
It's not based on sex.
So then how would you know what a
This is
woman
the
is?
hang up. This is why you're so lost here. Sex is different than gender. They're two distinct things. And anybody with a brainstem can figure this out. It doesn't.
Dude,
this
you're
isn't
you're
brain-
you're not
this isn't fucking
following. I think it's a
neuroscience.
lack of comprehension on your behalf. What is your gender as a woman defined off of objectively?
Societal norms. It's not objective.
No, it's a
Not-
female. Otherwise, they wouldn't know what it is to be a woman. That's why they take the
A
body parts of a
female
woman.
is a
Why they take the body parts of
chromosomal
a
thing.
female
Listen,
and
listen.
emulate it. I'm
listen.
telling you, I'm right.
No, you're not. And we have many organizations that disagree with your definition of
Well,
what
why
a
would
woman
a
is,
trans
because
woman try to
gender
emulate the
is
same body parts as a female then, if it
no,
wasn't
it's
based
not
off
about
that?
body parts. It's about neurochemistry.
So
Sex
what
is about
part of
body parts.
neurochemistry would make you want to do
Sex,
that then?
sex is about chromosomes, but not gender. Gender is societal.
We're not
It's,
talking
it's
about
social
that.
construct.
Your gender is going to be objectively defined by your sex. That's how they
You
know
keep
what being a
asserting
woman is
that. You
about.
keep asserting this, sir, but no, that's incorrect. Gender is not sex. They're different.
No, you're not. I think it's going over your head what I'm saying to you. What would you define being a woman off of if a female didn't exist? Go.
Societal norms.
And what's that societal norm based off of?
There's a spectrum of different identities you can
There's
have.
not a spectrum.
between
It's just a
between
female it's based off.
masculinity,
That's why they
between,
call it
between
a trans woman.
femininity.
The
Listen,
adjective
listen.
describes the type of woman they're trying to
No,
be.
stop and listen. Stop and listen. Gender is not sex. Gender is a social construct that is dependent on neurochemistry,
Females.
dependent on the brain type. But when it comes to sex, sex is female and male and others, but those are dependent on chromosomes, right? That we know you can't biologically change, but socially you can change your gender because gender is simply an identity that aligns with societal norms. And if I don't align with specific norms in a specific society, I can align with become a more aligned with another one.
Find me
That's-
one
that's the
society where
entire
being a
point
woman
of
is not objectively
transgender.
based off of
That's
being
what
a female.
transgender is. It's aligning with the gender that you belong in rather than the one you were born in. That's
Well,
what
if it's an
transgender-
incongruence between your gender and your sex, correct? Then your gender has to be based
No,
off of the
there-
sex that you're emulating.
gender
I'm
has
telling you,
nothing
dude,
to do
it's,
with
it's a
sex.
lack of comprehension on your
Gen-
behalf.
no, is not. Gender has nothing to do with sex at all. Gender is neurochemical. Sex is
So,
chemical.
so what would the gender of woman be defined off of if not sex? Go.
Societal norms.
Then how would a trans woman know how to be a woman if it wasn't based off a female?
Based
This is
on-
why they do
based
the
on the
surgeries to get the
based on the
anatomy
based
of
on
a
the
female.
based on the societal norms, they would know.
Yeah, the societal norms is that of a female, which is why they get the surgeries to
No,
look
it's
like
soci-
a female.
what we call women or men and differs in different societies. See,
No,
in
it
different
doesn't.
cultures-
It's always
Yeah,
been
it
objectively
absolutely
defined as
does.
such.
Sir, in certain cultures in the world, men are actually seen as more feminine. In certain
Those are
cultures, men
characteristics.
wear
That's a big
dresses.
difference. You
In
could say the
certain
same of a gay
cultures, men
person.
wear wigs. In certain cultures, men have certain different features and different identities than what we would call a man, right? Because man and woman are just identities that depend on societal norms. Sex is completely different, but you're mixing the two for no fucking reason.
No,
'Cause
no,
you want to
just
be a
don't
bigot.
understand it.
You
If
just want to
if
go,
if
oh, a man can't be a woman, because you don't want
would
to do
they
the research and
would they
learn.
base a trans woman off of what a man's societal norms is if a female didn't exist? Answer the question.
What?
Would they base a trans woman off of a man if they didn't know what the societal norms of a woman was, which is a female? Would they?
If I'm a trans person, I choose the gender that aligns most closely to what I think I fit in the specific societal norm I'm in. Period. That's it. There is nothing more to it. Gender is neurochemical. Sex is chromosomal. I didn't kick him. He left. I wasn't even looking at the camera. I did not kick him. Stop saying that. Now you're being dishonest, and you don't know the difference between gender and sex. Go learn it. Hey, what do you got?
I just have a question. You know that imaginary is not the same that unreal? You know that, right?
The same what?
You know that the word imaginary does not mean the same as unreal? For instance, you can imagine a brown dog.
Do you have
That
evidence?
doesn't
Do you
mean-
have evidence of God
that
or
doesn't
not?
mean it
Do you
does
have
not
evi-
exist.
Do you have evidence of God?
Yes, but
What
I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question. Please be honest with yourself. Do you know that imaginary does not mean unreal?
Well, it means that it doesn't exist in physical reality, right? The external world.
Not true, because you can imagine a brown dog, and we can all see that brown dogs exist all over the world.
Right, but the problem is that
So you need
there's
to get your
evidence.
facts straight.
Right,
You
but
need to understand what's
listen,
imaginary.
listen. When I imagine a brown duck, that imagination is imaginary, but we have evidence of something that reflects that in the real world. When it comes to God, we have no reflection in the real world.
So how
That's
can
the
God
problem
be
with God.
imaginary
That's
if
why
we have no?
That's why I'm open to evidence of a God, right? If you can prove me wrong, great. Prove me wrong. Go ahead.
Well, you're saying that that brown dog is imaginary because we can see like some evidence here on Earth that there are brown dogs. How can God be imaginary without evidence?
That's your problem, right? Show me that it exists, and I won't say it's imaginary no more.
I can prove you the historical Jesus.
Okay, I don't care about a guy who died on a stick, right? Where's your
No,
evidence of a
but you
God?
should, but you should care about the guy who there's historical evidence that rose from the dead. That should be enough for you to believe.
How did he write? How do you get from he existed historically to he rose from the dead like a magical zombie? How did you get there? That's a big step.
Because of the historical evidence that there is.
Great. Where's the historical evidence that this guy rose from the dead like a zombie?
All the writings, not only in the Bible. That Jesus Christ is the most documented person on the that has ever lived.
So where is the extra biblical evidence of Jesus's resurrection?
You can search it anywhere.
Okay.
There are
let's-
thousands
in the air.
in the air.
Yeah, where's the evidence,
Well-
sir? Where's the evidence of God resurrecting outside the Bible?
The evidence is that there's a group of people that have been following his teachings since 2,000 years ago.
Okay, the same with Mithras, Horus, Zeus, Dionysus, all the Egyptian gods, all the Roman gods, all the African gods, the Asian gods, the Hindu gods. There's
Such
thousands
as,
of gods that have the same claims.
yeah, and they all have all these records of their resurrection.
Nobody does. There's no evidence of a resurrection at all for any being.
Yes, there is.
Give it to me. What is it?
I already told you. Everything that has been written about Jesus Christ.
Do you have any extra biblical evidence of Jesus resurrecting, like outside the Bible?
So, are you sure that Martin Luther King Jr. Really existed?
Yeah, we have his body, we have his home, we have his clothing, we have his
you seen it?
documentation, we have photos, we have
Have you seen
videos of him. We have
Have you seen it?
his birth certificate. Yeah, yes, we've seen the evidence that he existed.
Yeah, there are lots of scriptures that say that Jesus Christ existed.
There's many scriptures that say Spider-Man climbed the walls of the Empire State Building. Who cares about a statement in a story? I want evidence.
Okay, then tell me what happened 2,000 years ago that made people start all over from zero, all the years counting.
You're talking about the calendar, the Roman
Yes,
calendar.
yes, I am. Yeah,
The Gregorian
on
calendar that we use today was influenced by the Roman Catholic Church in the 1500s. It has nothing to do with Jesus. It's a fucking calendar date.
oh really? And why are
Yeah.
we saying that we are on 2023 after Christ?
Yeah, and if I said that it means after Cuckoo Monster, does that mean Cuckoo Monster exists? Because I said it's after Cuckoo Monster.
So I'm giving you evidence that Jesus Christ existed.
You know what AC stands for? In AD?
Yeah.
You know what AD stands
Yeah.
for? It stands for after Doobie Monster. that means Doobie Monster is real, right? Because it says it in the calendar.
So that's your level of intelligence. Are you gonna do that? Are you just gonna start playing?
I'm reflecting your logic back to you.
Yeah, you're the guy that doesn't
It's like
understand
a mirror.
the difference between imaginary and unreal. So I'm
Well, now you're unreal. Next.
All right, can you hear me?
Unfortunately.
Okay. So, so what do you believe in if you don't believe in God?
I believe in facts.
Facts? Well, there's a whole book called the Bible that is filled with facts.
Oh, like talking donkeys and talking snakes, Adam and Eve, Noah's Ark, all that fact. Those are all facts.
Yes.
Okay, so where's your evidence that donkeys can talk?
It's not okay. I know that it's
What verse proves it?
what verse proves that donkeys can talk. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about well, okay, so I used to maybe like a couple years ago.
How old are you? How old are you?
19. Anyway, a couple years.
You have evidence for God now? Just give it to us, please.
Okay. So a couple years ago, I was like smoking, not going down the right path, whatever. And what?
I didn't ask for a life story.
Okay,
just
that's
asked for
what I'm
evidence.
leading up to my point. So just anyway. So and then when I started going to church, God changed my life around. I felt God. God has talked to me. God has talked to me through people.
Are you sure you're not still smoking?
I'm 100% go.
Hello.
Hey, what do you got?
So I kind of want to just first ask if you are open to having a discussion because you seem very closed-minded.
Yeah, I'm very close-minded. I've never debated before. I've never debated anybody before. Yeah. Okay. So what am I closed-minded about? What exactly? Open my mind.
Well, I just feel like you're very like you're not open to hearing people. You shut people down. You're quick to shut people down.
I'm all ears, buddy. Go ahead. Prove
All right.
God for us.
Well, I kind of wanted to flip it on you too. So, why do you say God is imaginary?
There's no evidence of it, and every time you guys try to prove it, you fail miserably.
Okay, so what about all the stories in the Bible where multiple people, Matthew, Mark, John, Luke, wrote stories about Jesus and God?
What about all the Marvel comics that are stories about Spider-Man and X-Man?
Okay, that was one.
Are they real too?
and it's a
Because they're
fictional writing.
stories.
That's one author, and it's a fictional writing. When the Bible is written by multiple people.
No, there's multiple authors to comics.
Okay, well you said Marvel, so
Yeah, it's like Jesus is like Marvel on steroids, right? It's like
okay.
the
So
Walmart Marvel.
let's just ignore the Bible for a second, and let's talk about the Quran or any of the other religions that mention Jesus, saying that he was a prophet, not necessarily the son of God, but he was a real person. What happens to the made-up story when it's written not only in one book, but several books written by multiple people in different religions?
Where?
What do you mean, where?
Where are the multiple stories written?
The multiple stories written in the Bible, and
That's one book. Oh my!
Okay,
The Gospels. First of all, the Gospels are not eyewitness accounts. The Gospels they come decades after Jesus died. They were orally passed down for decades before they were written down. That's why there's multiple contradictions in the Gospels.
okay.
They're
So
just-
what
they're
about
just orally
Muslims?
passed down stories that people
What
just
about the
told
Quran?
real.
What about the Quran? The Quran says that Jesus is a person and that he was a prophet, but not the Son of God. But they admitted that he's a real person.
I don't care about a person who lived back then. I care about a God. What's your evidence that a God exists?
Okay, so if Jesus came to earth and rose from the dead, does that not give you any evidence?
If Spider-Man crawled on the web of the Empire State Building, does that not give you evidence that he was
Okay.
Spider-Man?
Okay, listen though. See, you're being closed-minded
This
again.
is your argument, though. This is exactly your argument.
No,
You're
no,
saying,
no.
what if it's real? That means it's real. Okay. Yeah, that applies to every fucking thing you want to believe in. I'm asking you for evidence that he's a God. You know, like evidence, right? Like data, facts, things like that.
Okay, there's okay, get so can you see gravity, okay? Can you see gravity?
We can measure gravity, sir. Yes, we can
Okay, so
measure.
just like you are
Wow,
here,
it fell down. Woohoo, gravity. Gravity. I'm
just like
looking at
you are
gravity.
here and you are breathing
Look,
and
I'm
you're
looking
having
at gravity. Wow.
See, you're so close-minded. Like don't be
Okay.
ignorant.
Let me open up my brain.
Be
All
mature and
right,
have
I'm
the debate,
open-minded
like
now.
actually
Go
talk.
ahead. My mind is wide open. I got my third eye ready.
Okay. Are you ready to actually talk?
Are you ready to give evidence?
What do you believe in? What is your belief?
Yeah, people ask me all this all the time. And what they want me to say is to give this elaborate story as to how but we don't really know how we exist. We just do, right? The problem is that you're making a specific claim that there is a God. I'm not. I don't know if there's a God. So that's why we're asking you how you know God exists.
Okay.
I can teach you about science. I can tell you how the earth formed, and I can give you this elaborate story about how the universe arose. That still doesn't get us anywhere towards what you believe being true.
Okay. Well, I told you what I believe being true, and you're going back to comics.
But
when I
how do you know it's true? I know you believe it, but how do you know it's true?
Because it's a
That's the big question.
historical book. If you go,
So is the Quran. So
exactly, and they both mention Jesus. and
Okay,
they
how about
both-
the Vesta?
I'm not sure what that is, to be completely
But
honest.
it's a historical book, right? Just because you have a book within history, it doesn't make it true nor reliable. It's just a book.
That is correct, but you have multiple books, not a singular, but multiple books with multiple stories written by multiple people. So it's not just saying like,
And
okay,
there's multiple contradictions, and there's multiple fallacies, and
okay,
there's multiple errors in the
give
Bible.
me a contradiction.
We can take a look at the Gospels. Peter, Mark, Luke, and John, they all say that Mary saw different numbers of angels and people in the tomb, in the empty tomb. We can take a look at biblical fallacies when it talks about talking donkeys and the global flood, Adam and Eve. These things can't exist.
Why can't Adam and Eve exist?
Because evolution's a fact. We can observe evolution. There can't be a first person.
How explain to me how evolution is a fact?
Oh, now you want me to open your mind. Okay.
Yeah,
See how the
I
tables
came
turn
into
like
this
that? That's
debate
very interesting.
open-minded.
So evolution's a fact because we can observe it in the fossil record, we can observe it in our DNA, and we can observe it in lab experiments. We can demonstrate to you that evolution's a fact. If you would just open up your brain, you would
No,
see
yeah,
evidence.
no. I'm very open, and I'm about to come back to you and give you a rebuttal to that. So, if we had Adam and Eve who were born as a more simplified human being, why can't they evolve into what we are now, based off of their offspring? Like just
Because
because we have
evolution isn't like Pokemon, right? This isn't human turns into Jamalang and Charizard. Like this isn't morphing time, right? This isn't Power Rangers. Evolution means slow genetic changes over multiple thousands of generations, right? And in the time of the story of the Bible, there's not enough fucking time for evolution to take place that would be significant enough to render us existing in some kind of different way than Adam and Eve. But the point about Adam and Eve being false is that there can't be a first person. Because if you go back far enough in the genetic record or the fossil record, there is always another person before the one previous to it, right? And there's this line, this this never-ending line of species and populations of people. You go back forever, and there's still a person before that. There's still a person before that. Still a person. There's never one day where you get a first person. It's always a small difference before, just like when you age, right? There's never one day when you just turn into an adult. It's a slow process of aging, just like evolution.
So you think forever and ever and ever, eternity ago, that there was just humans out of nowhere, and that there's always been humans?
So if we go about 4 billion years ago, there was just, like protocells and basic organic compounds on the earth. But since that moment, there has been this never-ending thread of species.
Okay, so when the first human was created, Adam, and Eve was created from his rib, they can have.
Do you really believe that this guy was born from a rib?
It wasn't a guy.
This is like McRibby time. Like, is this like McDonald's?
Dude, no. Okay, it's not like that. God.
I got an order for McDonald's. I got to check my what is it? Adam rib? I got an Adam rib. Oh, I see Eve. She's coming out of the rib. Like this is nonsense. I'm sorry.
Okay. You're very ignorant.
Smart. Amazing, handsome.
No, you're very ignorant and immature. you
Says the one who believes in talking donkeys. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. You believe in evolution and that we came from microorganisms, which makes no sense.
I believe in facts. Oh, that's terrible, Mike.
Show me evidence, which you're asking for, that there is proof that we came from microorganisms.
Well,
go find me an article.
See, this is a foundational misunderstanding of evolution. We don't come from microorganisms. We share common lineage with all living beings on the planet. If you go far back enough, we share common lineage. But the evidence of this is in the geological strata. We can look at fossils and how they structurally change through time. We can take a look at genetic records, DNA chromosomal fusions. We can see that there were certain genetic patterns that have rendered us existing this way versus other apes. We can see in the Richard Lenski's experiment in the 90s, he took bacteria and saw them spread in different species through multiple generations. The evidence for evolution is so powerful.
I'm not denying evolution. I believe in evolution. I do not believe that we came from something that is not a human being. I believe that we came from something similar to us.
When you say came from, what do you mean we came from? Like we were like Ubered here?
No, evolved. Okay, so like you come from Neanderthals. Okay, so we come from a fucked up looking person that eventually turned up to what we look like now.
Okay, and
okay, so that's evolution. So we came.
So you agree that we evolve?
I do agree that we evolve. Yes, I do. The reason we have wisdom teeth, the reason we have gallbladders, the reason we have
great. So you just rejected evolution. Now you agree with it. Like, this is weird. Okay.
No, you're not listening. I agree with evolution. I do not agree with us coming from something that is not human. I think that we could have started off.
Right? That's a straw man of evolution.
Don't cut me off. So I believe that we could have came.
That's not evolution, right? And I'm not going to just let you ramble when you have the main premise wrong. This isn't Power Rangers, right? This is a misunderstanding of evolution. Go learn the science. We don't come from monkeys or come from apes. We are apes. It's just that we share common lineage. And this takes a lot of understanding. This takes a lot of understanding and research to learn. This is why you still believe in talking donkeys. You haven't taken the time to learn the science. So if you guys see this, right, this picture here, you guys see that? You guys see that dot right there? Little dot right there by my finger? That's the Earth. That's our entire planet right there, guys, right? So every day I look up at this picture and I go, damn, that's us. That's all we got, right? That's all we got. The planet, this one place, this your friends, your family. This is a amazing thing to recognize that, yeah, life is crazy and we're here. And there's a bigger perspective out there that utterly dwarfs everything that we do here, right? So just keep that in mind, that there's a bigger perspective on things. And the world isn't as human-centric as it may seem. Exactly. Reality is amazing enough without fairy tales. Exactly. Reality is amazing in its own. So keep learning, right? The key to everything is to keep learning. And that's hard, it's scary, but it's good, it's powerful, because knowledge is power. The things I do here on TikTok and debating is to strengthen your epistemological framework, right? How you know something is true. If I'm given information all the time on social media, like, how do I know how to navigate between which is true, which is false? How do you know that? If I believe in the Bible and if I believe in stories, how do I know what anybody says is true? How are you asking questions? How are you interrogating things around you? How are you testing things? What questions are you asking? And that's how we get progression. And this is hard endeavor, right? Thinking is hard. It is, it takes a lot of power and effort, but it gives us prosperity. Everything you use, your phone, your car, your TV, your building, your house, everything, the road you go on, all these were thought up by somebody. And it takes critical thinking skills to keep society going forward and progressing. So that's why I do this, because the foundation to our prosperity is critical thinking, science, engineering. These are the foundations, the engines of our world. I didn't realize how passive I was in my life until I left Christianity. Yeah, that's another aspect of it, right? When you leave religion, when you leave those expectations about your life, when you stop expecting there to be somebody waiting for you when you die, or when you stop expecting there to be an afterlife, when you stop expecting there to be this heavenly thing, you let all those expectations go, and it's scary to do. But when you do that, you recognize that what's more important than those things is the now, right? Because all you're left with is now. Every second matters much more when you let go of God and religion and all that stuff. Life becomes more precious, more amazing, more beautiful. And on top of that, it's all natural. We just are, right? And that's a more freeing perspective than one in which your mind is muddied by all these notions, marriage and Bible and Christianity and Hinduism, and just like strip all that away, right? Just go back to square one, the bare bones, and then you start from there. And that's a way more healthy way of looking at the world. But it's hard to do that because people are so scared of letting go of this purpose and this hope that they think God gives them, right? They're scared of leaving religion. They fear other people judging them, or they fear, the notion that they don't have any meaning or purpose. But what makes us more purposeful is when you let go of that notion of purpose. The quote, losing all hope was freedom. Big. It's real. It's true. So, this is, not everybody's going to have this mentality, but the point is that people who do have this mentality have a lot of ability. We all have this, we have a lot more potential than we think we do. And, yeah, life is more amazing than it seems. In fact, life is more amazing because there's no God. Because this is all we got. Right? This is a finite, think about it. I'm a breathing, thinking, conscious being who naturally assembled this way through a cascade of billions of years of evolution. Look at that. That's amazing. Able to think and ponder about things and love and have compassion and care for others and understand things and travel and learn, and that's something to be proud about. Be proud of yourself. You're a person. You're alive. You're thinking. And that's something that is powerful. True power comes from God. That's your belief. Prove it. Demonstrate it. And God is just a word. It doesn't mean anything. God is a word. If I ask 1,000 people what God is, I get 1,000 different answers. And if you notice, every person's God is what they prefer. Why does nobody ever believe in a God that they don't like? What a coincidence that every person's God is the exact one they love. What a coincidence. And it's not a coincidence. It's the fact that you're making it up to feel better. Right? God makes you feel better, and that's why you believe it. Because if it was true, then you wouldn't care about the consequences. You would still believe it. But instead, you only care about going to heaven or getting the reward of believing. Oh, I get salvation. I get redemption. I get 72 virgins. It's about the reward. It's a selfish endeavor, right? To believe in God is selfish. Because God, the notion of God, is a human conception that inherently is selfish. It's about getting reward and being obedient. It's a selfish thing. You're just looking out for yourself and and being controlled so that you get something from it. But to me, it's much more selfless to believe in the truth no matter what the consequences. It's tough to think that you die and go nowhere. That is something that nobody wants to believe. Even me, I don't want to. I want to live. It'd be great to live for another life, right? I would love to live for it. But look at how selfish it is to do that. I still believe that we die and that's it. And I don't care about a reward. I don't believe in God because I get a reward from it. I believe in things that are based on facts because I'm honest. So the point is that there's different ways to view reality. There's different perspectives on the world. Which one's more prosperous? Which one gives you more power? Which one gives you more ability or equality, rights, freedoms, privileges? And that's unequivocally a secular one. yeah, everybody please subscribe to the YouTube. Link in bio. Good job in the debate last night. Thank you. Yeah, pre-subs are funny. They don't understand that they fall under the same problem. It's not. Subbing to YouTube is selfish. Well, see, my content helps people. The more I get attraction, the more I can help people. That's my goal. My goal is inevitably to help other people. It's my biggest goal in life, is to help people, to do something beneficial for others. I'm a vegan. Why? Because I'm selfish? No, because I want to help the animals. Why do I do TikToks? Why am I here? I right now I could be doing something differently, but I'm doing this to help you guys, understand something and learn something and open up your mind and open up your ears. Because I was once somebody who was religious, and I know what it's like, and I know how much I suffered from being religious, retrospectively. The point is that discussing these things is important. We are not better than animals. We are animals ourselves. We are just another ape. We're humans. We're great apes. Be proud of that. Look at what we apes can do. Look what we are. Look at what we can do and think about and accomplish together. We can go to this. We can go to the moon. We can go to Mars. We can travel the cosmos. Look, there's an entire universe out there waiting for us, guys. There's an entire wondrous place. And we can do it. We can produce amazing things. We can do amazing things. And all of us can. What happens after you die? Well, I don't really care about that, to be honest. I care more about what happens before I die. Because all we got is all that is now. And that's all we know we have for sure, right? All we're guaranteed is this life. So I don't take so much time pondering about what happens after I die, because that's a nonsensical thing to even care about. I care about the now. And whatever happens after I die, whatever, nothing about me will change. If I die and there's a God and I'll be judged, nothing will change about me. I will still be as skeptical as I am. I will still be as inquisitive as I am. I will still be as curious as I am today. Nothing will change about me. And that's the beauty of having the dignity of somebody who's secular. Because those things don't bother me, right? Being judged, it doesn't bother me. What bothers me is not doing what I can in the now. Wasting my potential. Not helping other people when I could have. That's what scares me the most. All your actions are determined. Why worry? Well, worry is determined too. I don't have a choice but to worry. See, when you say or determined, so why do you care? That presupposes that that worry wasn't also determined. Every action we do is determined, and that fact that everything's determined means you don't have to care about it that much. Yeah, we can technically acknowledge that things are determined completely, but there's no visual difference between a deterministic universe and a universe with free will. That's why it doesn't matter if we have free will or not. Nothing about my life changes, right? Whether or not we have freedom, free will or not, nothing about my life will change. I will not just suddenly go, oh, I have free will now. Okay, let me do. No. Because everything I'm doing and saying is determined, sure. but it feels like I have freedom. It feels like I have free will. And that's enough. That's how we evolved to be. We didn't evolve to be Plato or Socrates, this type of mentality. We're thinking about all these existential questions. That's not required. And it shouldn't be required. Like, I'm not saying it's bad to think about these things, but the point is that at the end of the day, what really matters more is the bigger ideas. The little things you can question forever, but yeah, I'm not here to say become an atheist. By the way, I never say that. I never say you must become an atheist. What I'm saying is let's think more critically. Let's think more critically. Let's be more rigorous in the things we believe in. Let's be less attached to what we believe in and start acting, start doing things that are prosperous. So, recommend a book on cosmology? Well, I have Sagan's Cosmos. I love this book here too. Brian Greene's Fabric of the Cosmos. It's fantastic. Talks about relativity and just amazing things. That book will change your life. Right? Reading, learning, that's the stuff that changes your life. It is power. Knowledge is power. It really is. Carl Sagan, anything with Carl Sagan is fantastic to read. Especially Demon Haunted World, Cosmos, any of the above. Science is life-changing and changes the way you see things. Every day, every day I look up at that picture, the pale blue dot. That's all we are, a dot. From that view, we're just dots. But look at what our dots can do. Look at what we can do as dots. That's the point, right? The point of that picture is that, yeah, we're small, but look at what we can do. We can do big things. And that's the point. If you want to know more about science, you can read, research, learn. I have generalized YouTube videos that give you some sense of the science, but they're not perfect. But learning is the main key. If there were aliens, would they have a skeletal structure like us? Probably, yes. Because the skeleton helps us become sturdy, it helps us become stabilized, it helps us push against the gravity of the earth. And that's why we have skeletal structures. Because if we didn't, we'd be blobs of jelly. And that's not very stable. So yes, they would typically probably have skeletal structure. They would probably be very similar to us, or not us humans, but us biologically in the form of carbon, most likely. They most likely would have some kind of evolutionary process like we do, but it would probably work chemically different. So, and there's tons of parameters in which things can be altered and yield different entities. And there's many ways you can mix around DNA, and there's all kinds of nucleotides you can produce that are replicatable. There's a lot of room within chemistry to play around with. What came before the Big Bang? I'm making a video tomorrow about that. It's a big question, but it's something that we don't really know how to ask in the first place, because we don't know what before is, or before the universe, or before the Big Bang is. We don't know what that is. Something cannot come from nothing. Who said nothing is possible? What's nothing mean? Right? Every time you think of nothing, you're thinking of something. That thought itself of nothing is something. It doesn't make sense to talk about nothing in an absolute sense. It can't exist to me. Andy Chilled. I see all your comments. Thank you. Shout out to all you guys, all the gifts, all the gifters. Do we live in a simulation? Well, to me, simulation is not different from a universe. I mean, you can imagine a universe with different physical laws, just like a simulation would have different physical laws. So to me, it's like, what's the difference between a universe and a simulation? But yes, if there is a natural multiverse mechanism that spits out Big Bang, spits out universes, then surely there could be an infinite number of universes, an infinite number of possible worlds. Sure. So if that's what you want to call a simulation, then yes, it could exist. But I wouldn't say that we can know. Is time travel possible? Yes and no. It's not in the sense that you're probably thinking of, where you press a button and you go to another time. That's not probably possible. But there is a way with relativity to manipulate space-time in a way that allows you to slow down time for yourself relative to somebody else on Earth. So if I go out into space in a rocket ship, about half the speed of light, go out for a year, and I come back to Earth a year later, maybe time for me on the ship passed maybe a year, but on the Earth it passed 10 years. So time slows down the faster you go through space. And if you can manipulate this in a way in your favor, you can travel into the future that way. You can slow down time to kind of travel into the future. So that's a way to do it. Going back in time, that's a different story. It's a vastly different story. We don't know if that's possible, because everything in the universe is moving through space-time at the speed of light. Some things more spatially, some things more temporally. But everything's moving at a constant rate through space-time. And because of this, there's no way you can go back behind your light cone. However, there is this idea that there's something called a wormhole. If you guys have ever watched Interstellar, you would recognize that there's something called a wormhole that you can kind of bend space. You can bend space-time itself, zip a hole through it, and travel through the other side. Kind of like a wormhole in an apple, right? You go one side to the other. And perhaps space-time is configured in like kind of structure that allows you to poke a hole through it, travel through, and on the other side, end up somewhere else in space, somewhere else in time. Maybe you can go back to any time you want to. Perhaps all the time exists in the universe. Perhaps the future, the past, they all exist. Just like all the space, all the time exists. In that sense, you can traverse your way through the universe in any way you want. But we don't know. We don't know if that's possible or plausible yet. It's theoretically possible, but plausible is a different story. We don't know. But the fact that we can even imagine this or conceive of this in the first place is incredible. Just look at how counterintuitive that these notions are. It just does something to you, right? It makes you stimulates me in a way. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I love thinking about these big ideas.